What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another panel show for you guys. And we've got Sim here with us as per usual. We've got Ashmatic with us, as you've seen on panel shows before. But making his debut on the channel, we've got Tottenham Away's very own Iggy. How are we doing, Iggy?
What's happening? You alright, guys? How you doing? How you doing?
Yeah,
all good, all good.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Ashmatic, you all good?
Brothers, I'm blessed, man. I'm thankful to be here. It's another day. Health is wealth, as I always say. And yeah, man, let's get it on.
Loving the jacket, Ashmatic. Come on.
Thank you, man. I just tried, you know. I need to start selling some clotheslines.
Yeah, come on. Is that an Udi?
Huh?
Is that an
Udi?
Udi?
Yeah. It's an Udi, yeah.
I love it. I've got a blue and white one. They're very, very comfortable, that's for sure.
No heating on over there, Ashmatic. Don't need it.
Crisis.
Look, let's get straight into it, and we're going to go with our first topic. And the first topic is, after the weekend's results, are Spurs now favourites for the top four? When you're looking at who we're going against, Newcastle, Liverpool, maybe even Manchester United are getting tucked into it. You've got the likes of Brighton and Brentford, Fulham there as well. We'll start with you, Iggy. Are Spurs now favourites for the top four?
Listen, favourites is a tough one, man, because there's got so many teams that are going to be coming back. Everyone thought Liverpool was back after beating Man United, and they got slapped up by Bournemouth. So it's a real tough one to predict. I truly believe that we need to get a nice little run of games, positive results, and we're definitely in it for sure. Favourites is you can never put favourites on Spurs' name. I'm sorry, I'm not going to fall for that one. But I think
we're not talking about a trophy here, Iggy. We're talking about top four.
Top four is a trophy, right?
We'll get into that in a second.
No, but I believe we will make top four. I think provide on the proviso that we don't lose any more players. That has to be said. I think one game a week will favour us, and let's be having it right. The pressure now will be a lot less than what it has been, say, the week that we come back from Sheffield United to AC Milan. But moving forward, have one game a week, and providing that we don't lose any more players, we'll be in the mix. We've got good run of games coming up as well, so we've got to make the most of it.
Yeah, and with those running games, nice presentable fixtures coming up the next three games. When you look at Liverpool's fixtures, their next three fixtures are City away, Chelsea away, and Arsenal at home. So it's a really good opportunity now, these next three games, to really, break away from Liverpool. But Ash, how are you feeling about the top four? Are we favourites now?
On paper, we have a great chance. I'm only worried about Man U and Liverpool on paper. But in real life, come on, man. Anytime you predict Spurs to go and do something, the opposite happens, man. And they always leave egg on your face. This is the reason why Spurs fans are arguing. This is the reason why Spurs fans are fighting. This is the reason why friends can't even agree. Like, there's no unity within the fan base. They just present problems for us. They do. Do you want problems? Yes. No, we don't. We don't want problems. Like, so literally, I feel like when I see like Everton away, like on paper, we should be winning that. But we know Everton, they're in a survival fight. They're in a relegation battle. And they're going to just, at Goodison Park, they're going to have the fans behind them. They've got Sean Dyche. He's going to be motivating them. He's going to be massaging their shoulders. He's going to get ready. He's going to put the boxing gloves on them. So when it comes to Tottenham coming out at teams, especially teams that like to maybe sit back and we have to go and attack them, sometimes you see a bit of weakness in Spurs in terms of our play. So I'm 50-50. I'm still reserved on whether we're favourites or not. You look at Brighton don't have that same expectation as Spurs as a big club when it comes to top four or top six or top seven club, whatever you want to call us. Brighton have the freedom. They can finish 10th or they can finish 11th and you'll be like, oh, it's Brighton. But if it top six, like Brighton are like, oh my days, Brighton have done so well. Do you know what I mean? If it's top four, oh my days, what an achievement. So when you have less pressure, as a player, you can play your own game, you can play with freedom. And as well as the manager can play his own tactics. He can be more risk averse. He can take more chances. Whereas Conte is going to be like, well, I'm not going to risk it, because if I throw on this player, I might like leave the back open. So I might just bring on a Sanchez to like shore it up, so we don't end up conceding another goal if it's the last 10, 15 minutes, as we saw against numerous amount of teams. I won't say them because I don't want to bring back that painful memory.
You don't want to upset us all, Ashmatic.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, exactly that. I don't want to I don't want to upset anyone. So yeah, man. Yeah, that's it, man. That's it, really.
Sim?
Well, we're talking about over the last 7 games, we are the form team in the Premier League. Well, where is the crisis? Why are people panicking? I think at the moment...
I could give you a long list of why.
Forget any cup competitions. They don't exist. We're just looking at the league right now. So we've got 5 wins in our last 7. We've got quite a good run in. We've got 1 game a week. We have the backdrop of last season when we had a really good end to the season and we snatched that 4th spot of Arsenal last season. For me, I'm looking at the league table. I think from a fixture point of view, I think we have better fixtures left than Liverpool. I'm not sure about Man United.
Newcastle are only 4 points behind us.
Yeah, Newcastle is still in it as well, of course. Newcastle is still in it. Yeah, I do think it's probably 2 from 4 at this point. I don't think Brighton are going to last the distance. I know they're playing well. They're currently 9 points behind us with 3 games in hand, but I do see them dropping off. I don't see Fulham sustaining a serious top 4 challenge. I don't see Brentford doing it either. So I do think it's 2 from 4. Now, when it comes to Newcastle, they just went 2 months without winning. They did get over the line yesterday, but that was their first goal in a month. I do think the goals did start to dry up, but maybe that yesterday's result will be a big boost for them. But I just don't see them having the quality to last the distance either. I do think when push comes to shove, Spurs will be a bit more consistent from now to the end of the season than Newcastle in terms of getting wins on the board. I do think maybe Newcastle might lose less games than us, but whether in terms of getting more wins, I do back us to get more wins in Newcastle from now to the end of the season. So that leaves, in my opinion, I do think they'll fall away. So that leaves 2 from 3 of us, Liverpool, Man United, in my opinion, for those last 2 spots in the Champions League. And I do think, looking at that, I do think we're favourites, but we do have to be. I do think we're favourites, but I do think we have to be wary.
I won't say it.
That's the reality again. I think we are. I think we are.
No, but all jokes aside, man. When you put it like that, listen. The 1 game a week, you know, Conte's going to have that on lockdown. The fact that we won't have to rely on so many other players because we've got too many games playing so close to each other where he's got to do rotation. Ain't going to be no rotation. There's going to be his best 11 are going to play week in, week out. So, like I said, on the proviso we don't lose anyone between now and the end of the season, for me, listen, I don't want to use that word favourites because I agree with Ash, man. That's going to end up with egg on our face. But I do think that we've been in this position before. We're on a similar amount of points this time around as we were last year, and there's no reason why we can't go on a little run. Listen, we're not getting carried away with ourselves. It was only I beg your pardon. It was only Nottingham Forest, and Southampton are struggling as well. So you take into the calibre of teams that you're about to face as well, but we have to go with and get the 3 points, get the business done, and because the difficult games are ahead, and we need to break away now and put the pressure on the others to go and get the points.
I think this weekend is evidence as ever that no game is guaranteed 3 points. United drew at home 0-0 to Southampton. Liverpool lost away at Bournemouth 1-0. So every 3 points you have to you can't take for granted. You can't take any 3 points for granted. So you got to be happy when you do pick them up. And I think that we're with the current situation of our squad, the how the fixtures are playing out. I do think once Liverpool go out to Real Madrid in midweek, which I do think is almost certainty, it might become a bit different because they'll have 1 game a week, and I think they're going to benefit even more than we will from having 1 game a week, in my opinion, because of the way they play and how intense they are. But I think they are 6 points behind. They do have 1 game in hand, but they are still 6 points behind it. There's no guarantee they do win that game in hand. But I think Liverpool are definitely going to come on strong. I think the way, I know they lost to Bournemouth on the weekend, but the way they battered Man United, I do think Anfield is going to be a fortress. I wouldn't be surprised
We got to
if
go
they...
there, yeah.
Exactly. We got to go to Anfield. I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a real winning streak now at Anfield and start brushing teams aside at their ground there. But we also have a very good record right now at the Tottenham Stadium. We've won our last 4 quite consistently, only conceding the 1 goal in that time as well. So I think we are marginal favourites. The fact that Man United are still in 2 cup competitions as well, maybe they might start getting distracted by those cup competitions. And will Rashford keep up his form in the league? They're only somehow, with all their great form and all their good football, they're only 2 points ahead of us. So I definitely see them getting dragged into it as well. They got to come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So if we win that one as well, that really opens things up. So I think when you look at the bookies, we are favourites. So I think that tells you all you need to know. I think you would want to be in Tottenham's position. I think Spurs are in a good position when it comes to top 4. And I think we have that experience behind us of last season as well, of really, when going gets tough, picking up the results when we need to. We know that a lot of this season, whether you like it or not, we can pick up points even when we're not playing well. We've shown that this season already. So I'm hoping there'll be a bit more positive performances from now to the end of the season. But even if performances aren't positive, we know we can still pick up wins. So I'm backing us to snatch that last spot. I really am.
The problem I've got with this top 4 race is I'm looking at the fixtures now, and I'm looking at our away fixtures. So our next 2 away games, Southampton and Everton, I mean, I expect us to win both those games, but it's very likely that we don't, that we come away maybe not with 6 points from those games, 2 battling teams right at the bottom. But after that, we got to go away to Newcastle, away to Liverpool, away to Villa, and last game away to Leeds at the last game of the season. That could be a massive game for Leeds. They might need to win that literally to stay up in the Premier League. And I'm looking at that week period. In this 7-day period, we got Newcastle away, Man U at home, and Liverpool away. I got a feeling that week might be the make or break for the top 4.
Not another week.
You know what I mean? And we know how we are with 2 games a week. So I'm looking at it as things stand right now. I would say we are favourites, but there's going to be lots of ups and downs from now until the end of the season. And I've got a feeling that week when we have to go to St James and Anfield and welcome Man United to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think that could be crucial. And
I would say in 3 weeks' time, after Liverpool's run of games, as you mentioned, if there's not a significant buffer between us and Liverpool after those weeks, I think we're going to have a better idea about the top 4 race.
Yeah, it's true.
Guys,
don't
you think Newcastle are our biggest rivals after Liverpool? Because if have they not got 2 games in hand? Have they not?
They got 2. They're 4 points behind with 2 games in hand, but I don't know. They're not winning enough. They're not winning enough games.
Yeah, you're right.
They're just not winning enough.
Been brilliant.
There's too many draws in there. I mean, as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose less games than us from now to the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised. But will they win more? Will they win more?
Yeah.
Newcastle's 2 games in hand are Nottingham Forest away and West Ham away.
I wouldn't be surprised if they only win one of those.
Forest away is going to be difficult. They've been really good at home since September, really. West Ham away, I mean, look,
West Ham have turned it around at home.
The way Newcastle are playing right now, I don't think you can back them to beat anyone, to be honest. They're not scoring anywhere near enough goals. They might not be conceding a lot of goals, but they're having a lot of draws this season.
And they got lucky yesterday. They could have easily drawn that game. They're just struggling to maintain control over teams for 90 minutes at the moment, Newcastle.
Like us.
For me, defensively,
Yeah,
I think we're the most sound out of the teams that you mentioned. I think we are. We have been. I think that the thing that's let us down in that week was just not scoring at all. We didn't score a single goal in those 3 games. We scored 3. Richarlison's one was just marginally ruled out. That could have been 4. So goals won't be a problem for us, and that's the key. But now we've got Skippy in there is getting a nice little rhythm going on as well. I think he's playing really well in midfield. And
Porro's only getting better,
Porro looks like we've got a player on him there. He doesn't mind taking players on, and that's the one thing we all look forward to seeing. So at home, definitely at home, I want to see more of Porro because those are the games that you rightly say away is going to be tough, but the home games are going to be the ones for me.
I hope
that are
Barry's
gonna
not
make or
watching
break.
you, Iggy, man. I hope he's not
His-
watching you say
No,
all this.
I've got nothing bad to say about Emerson because I think he's come heaps and bounds of late. But at home, you got to take it to your opponents, especially with the run of games that we're going to have there. And I look forward to seeing it. Of course, Liverpool away and places like that, maybe Emerson will be there because he has proved that he's ready for those sort of games, and he gives what Conte wants for those sort of games. So, listen, there's going to be everyone involved in that situation, and I think we're going to need everybody really to get us over the line.
But here's the thing: usually, to get top four, it's usually 70 points. That's like the usual barometer to hit that fourth spot. Right now, we're on 48 points with 11 games to go. So to hit that 70-point mark, what we're probably looking at is about 7 wins and a draw out of our last 11 games. And looking at our remaining fixtures, do you see those 7 wins? That's the one thing. I guess it could be less than 70 this season because it's such a tight league. You see people dropping points left. It might well be, Iggy. You might be right. But let's say if it is 70, if it is that barometer, our 5 home games are Brighton, Bournemouth, Man United, Crystal Palace and Brentford. And our 6 away games are Southampton, Everton, Newcastle, Liverpool, Villa and Leeds. Is there 7 wins and a draw in those fixtures? Do you see 7 wins there?
Take Man United out of that home win.
Man United and Liverpool away. We're probably not going to win at Anfield, and we're probably not going to win at St James's Park. That's 3 already. You're taken out.
Yeah.
Out of 11 games.
Brighton, 50-50.
Brighton at
Brighton,
home.
good side.
But we are at home. We have a good home form.
You have to beat them at home. Listen, I think the good thing about these teams, Brighton, they all play on the teams that you just mentioned. They all play on the front foot, and that could be tailor made for us. That could be tailor made because it's what we want. They're not shut up shop sort of teams, which is what they don't mirror us in that sense. So that can favour us to pick them off. Brighton's always proved to be a difficult one at home, but these are the sort of games: Southampton away, Everton away. This is what I'm saying. You got to start on the front foot. You need to pick up the result. We need to go on a little run now after that Forest game. Go 2 or 3 games where we win, not draw. We win. So therefore, you start building some sort of momentum, and the confidence rise as the more wins you get, the more your confidence goes up, and then we can start with it. Liverpool away and stuff like that. We'll deal with it at the time, and we see how we face those games. Liverpool will come strong. You're right. Liverpool will. They always do, but we've got to focus on us win the winnable games, and then the ones that don't. You're talking about a lot of head-to-heads as well coming up. A lot of head-to-heads.
Yeah.
So. And points will be lost, not just by us, man. They'll be lost by other teams.
Our away form definitely has to improve because I think it's 4 losses now on the trot. 4 losses in a row without scoring, I think, away from home. So unless we improve that, then it's hard to. You look at any away game right now, like it's a tough game because we literally keep losing away from home at the moment.
It's also crazy to think. It's also crazy to think about it. Like if we beat Southampton this weekend, Man U don't have a game this weekend, so we go into 3rd if we win this weekend. And with Man United, when you're looking at it, Casemiro out for the next 3 Premier League games. How much of an impact is that going to be in the Premier League? So, are Man United going to be dragged back into this race too?
I think they already are. By us going 3rd,
is their biggest player. I think without him, their team kind of capitulates a bit. They don't have that kind of solid player. A bit like Arsenal and Thomas Partey last season. You saw how they.
Well, the same could be said about us and Romero. He needs to calm down a little bit as well because the red cards are starting to become a little bit too regular and silly ones as well. So
at least he only gets 2 yellows, so it's only 1 game.
No, but do you know what I mean? He's like, you got to think to yourself, he needs because look, he's going to be massive for us. He is absolutely we don't have a substitute. You're right. Sorry to cut you off, Ash. The same thing. They've lost Casemiro for 3 games. Who replaces him, and does he do just as good a job? You know what? I think the top 4 run is going to be really decided on details. And I think, like I said, we must have our full team. Yeah.
What do you think about playing Emerson Royal at the right centre back if Romero was to go missing? Do you think that could possibly?
That could well happen. That could well happen if Romero keeps flying in the way.
He loves to defend. He plays in the inside, kind of where the centre back plays.
Yeah.
He's not bad on the ball. He just can't finish. So as a centre back, you need a centre back to defend. And you look at that performance against Man City he had against Grealish. Could he do a number there? Do you know
Listen,
what I mean?
I wouldn't say no to any of those solutions. I don't want to see that as a starting point, because
No,
I think it's something that needs to be worked on, and I don't want to be doing it at the most crucial part of the season. It's something I want to leave perhaps for pre-season, get that going perhaps once we get rid of Sanchez, because also you're sending out messages to those sort of players. You've got two centre backs in Tanganga and Sanchez. You're basically saying, I'm going to play a right back there. You two are simply not good enough. So you're cutting them out straight away, but that's like non-verbal. You're cutting them out for the rest of the season, and at some point, given the reason I just said about Romero, you may need to bring those two in, and if you make that move, you've shut that out. So it's a tricky time of the season to be doing these sort of things. But no, during the game, and if it requires it, and perhaps as a plan B option, for sure you can do it. Absolutely no problem.
Do you guys think? Go on. I was going to say, do you think Newcastle's our biggest head-to-head, because we're going to have to play them? So you think if we do Newcastle away at St James's Park, that's them buried?
Psychological, yes.
Psychologically, that's what I mean.
But that could also be turned vice versa as well. So it could be. Listen. You need to go to these. You need to go to these grounds, and you need to go to these stadiums with an atmosphere, with a straight back. You can't think to achieve something big. Essentially, look, man, top four, whether we like it or not, or whether it's a trophy or not, it is a big thing regarding a club for the revenue it brings and stuff like that. You got to go to this ground with a straight back and say, we come in here to take 3 points. If you're not able to do that, it's right that you step aside and let someone else take those spots. It's as simple as that.
Just to finish off this question, gonna go around the room and want one yes or no. Are we favourites for the top four? We'll start with you, Sim.
Yes.
Yes. Ash. Go with Iggy.
Yeah, he's bottled it. He's absolutely bottled it, man.
It's vodka in there, really.
Crazy. That time was mad. So yeah. I think we'll do it.
Yes. Iggy?
Listen, I have to back the boys, man. Of course, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go yes as well. But let's move on again. Another top four related topic. After Conte's comments over the weekend saying to qualify for top four is to win the Premier League for Tottenham Hotspur, I want to get your opinions on it. I mean, is that a bit of a kick in the teeth to us as fans, saying that getting the top four is like winning the Premier League? We'll start with you, Iggy.
Listen, I have to say this, all right, because I'm of the Mediterranean background, and I get what he's saying. He's saying for the club, top four is a trophy. You got to read that. He's saying that between his teeth. He's like, of course he wants more. He's come here because everywhere he's gone, he's won trophies. Of course he wants that. And someone's saying, we're just happy with top four, and he's like, yeah, okay, top four is a trophy now. I think that's what he's saying. That he's not happy with just the top four. He would just be. Listen, that's why he's not under pressure, because he is way within his target to get that top four. So I wouldn't. If you read it and you haven't heard anything, it can look bad, and I know the fans can also look into that and thinking, nah, that's a poor thing to say. But trust me. Anybody that knows Conte just a little bit, he hasn't come to Tottenham just for a top four race, because it's not for him. He's said this in the past. He wants more. So I don't buy that at all. I think he's just saying that because that's what the club have kind of just said to him. Getting top four would be like a win.
Iggy, some fans have, maybe it's just a social media thing, but I have seen some fans on social media claim that those comments are disrespectful towards a club like Tottenham, who, should be obviously aiming higher and saying that top four is like winning the Premier League. Is that disrespectful for us?
How is that disrespectful when we've only achieved one trophy in 23 years? That's disrespectful. And who's that started from? This manager, the last manager, the one before that? Who set that precedent? Who sets the tone from any workplace? It comes from the top, it filters down. You can't blame a manager's not even been. What's he been there? 15 months? He's only been there 15 months. He's not even completed his 18-month cycle yet. So And the guy, everywhere he's gone, he has proved to win everywhere he has gone. Now, we know fully well that if he goes tomorrow to another club, guess what he's going to do, guys? He's going to win again. Jose did the same thing, delivering one trophy to Roma, the first European trophy in the club's history. He did that the year after he left us. So, we can't keep pointing the finger. I don't want to go too much into it because you know, if you set
This
me
is
off
what
on
it's
this
for.
thing,
Go
like,
right
I'm gone.
into it. Go as deep as you want, Iggy. Come
No,
on.
but you know what I'm saying, guys. We cannot always. What is it? He's our 15th manager in a 23-year reign. Come on, man. You can't always look at the manager. You got to say, you know what? This is our manager. Whether it's Conte or the next one, we've got to give him a 3 to 5 year time frame and say, right, you do what you got, because we've not come from a winning mentality, guys. We're not. A lot of people that are following Spurs today haven't seen Spurs. In 2009, you know, some people weren't even born. They're not as old as me, but some people weren't born, so they're not grown up seeing Spurs regularly winning the FA Cup, which is what we was all known for. So for me, we need to say, look, man, Conte is the one that we need to forward with, or whoever it may be, and say this is the guy that's going to bring trophies to this ground. The club has to say, look, you need to deliver us top 4. You're an elite manager, and we minimum requirement, we want top 4. Anything else is on you. Now you're giving them the manager the freedom to say, right, but then you provide me with the tools that I can go on 3 fronts, because whenever this team comes under pressure and we've got a big week or big 3 games coming up, big 4 games, I guarantee you more often than not, we will flop. And that's a mentality that I'm talking about. It's the winner's mentality that we lack. When it comes to the crunch, we fail. Now the worst week has gone. So now, of course, we can go on, and because it's what we used to. We used to fighting for that top 4 place, but the other stuff, you need more of a killing instinct. Also, you need a group of players that when they rotate, we don't drop off, which is what's often happened. Whenever our best players are not there and someone else comes off, the drop off is massive. We need to start thinking about things different. It does require time. It does require patience, and it seems to me that we don't have it as a fan base, and I include us in it as well. I would include it. We don't have that patience. But how can we lose the patience of some guy that's been here 15 months? How can we lose our patience towards him? We've got to ask questions elsewhere. And then, like I said, if you don't want Conte because the style of football is rubbish, or listen, I'm not entertained by Conte's football. Don't get me wrong, but I know it's a winning formula. Whether I like it or not, that has proven year after year, club after club, different country, he's proved to win. Jose did the same. He won everywhere there is to win. You don't like his brand of football, but you're not bought him for that. You bought him for success. So give the man these tools. Let him go and do what he's got to do. Once he's got those tools, then you can judge the manager. So, right, now, go and do your thing. If you fail, then you're out. That's my thinking of it all. It could be right or wrong as it may be. That's how I see it. If we sack this guy, guess what? We're starting all over again. But we might as well back to Pochettino 4 years ago. Let him do the painful rebuild, which we still have to do, by the way. The painful rebuild has to happen, but we're all 4 years older now. So what was the point of all of that? Just that's plan, vision, get everyone on board, like it or not. We all see the same vision. We can all jump on that same wagon and say we know exactly the direction that we're taking. If all ships sail in the same direction, no one's gets lost. And at the moment, we're all lost a little bit because we don't see the vision. We don't see the plan. And without that, that's why we get the friction that Ash Matic was on about earlier on amongst fans. You get that friction because there's no clarity in where we're going.
Iggs, what I would say, is the question is top 4 winning the Premier League for us? And I just feel like...
Come on now, man. You can't believe that.
Wait, hold on. Wait. It's all about timing. My brother, timing. It's when it came out. It's the way we got dumped out. Come on, bro. Come on. We got dumped out of the FA Cup by Sheffield United B team. Let's face it. We were... we turn up.
Listen, listen. I'm still brewing about that because that 11 that we put out there should be seen off Sheffield United.
That's where we lost it. That's where we lost it, Iggy. A lot of fans got broken by that. Like, forget about Wolves against Premier League. The FA Cup was a real chance.
And why was that, Ash? Why was that? Because it was the only possibility that we had of any glimmer of hope of winning the cup. Was on that. That's all it was. Who cares about that cup? The fans, right? The fans, not the club.
I hear you, but it's the comments and the timing. My brother needs a PR team behind him. Please, Conte, don't talk. Because if you
Oh yeah. Listen. I know that about him. He's reactionary. You think he doesn't hear all these Conte out this that? You think he doesn't hear all of that? Of course, he's
brother,
hurting.
love it, man, because they're gonna just upset the whole fan base. And
Mate,
like,
we knew what he was like at Inter.
Let us talk.
Yeah, I get that. We know that, but I'm just saying, bro. Like for me, I was still hopeful. I was still like, listen. There's a lot of fans that are leaving out, but then when he came out with those comments after AC Milan, it became Conte out as well. It was almost like the camel that broke. I don't know the saying. Broke his back.
Yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, that thing. Whatever. Basically, that was the final straw. I don't know the bars. I don't know the lyrics, but yeah,
right.
everyone just went crazy. Like it was like you are not helping the situation. And I was Conte in all the way, and I still am, by the way. And I do agree with your points, and you have fair points. But I'm just letting you know he just needs a PR team.
I agree with.
No,
totally.
Because you're gonna upset like long term, like you said, fans that were there in the 60s, fans that were there in the 70s, fans that were there in the 80s when we won cups, when we were somebody. But guess what? I'm an 80s baby. Grew up in the 90s. You see what I'm saying? You feel me? So I
get it.
Up when it was 91, I was about 6 years old. How about that? I was about 6. I don't even really remember it. I remember the Worthington
It's my
Cup.
point.
See what I'm trying to say? So for when he comes up and says, like, I just felt it was so disrespectful because we've never seen a Premier League. We've been in the Premier League since 92, 93, wherever the season it started, yeah?
Yeah.
And like, because we're in that top 6, I can't talk to United fans. I can't talk to Chelsea
Mate,
fans.
you can talk to them on Sunday. We could be going third.
I can't. No, because we ain't won nothing. So for him to say his top 4 is like winning a Premier League, it's like he's bantering, man. He's like he's bantering the fans. And I said, no.
Maybe that's the objective. He wants to hit us. He wants to say, are you lot all right with this? Are you lot all right with it?
The people that were backing him turn. You get me? And that's when you start seeing the vision. That's when you started hearing, he's magic, you know.
That was disgraceful. I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna have to say this. I heard that. I heard at the Milan game, and I thought that's one of the most disrespectful things to do is to sing another manager's name with the current manager at the helm. I don't care who it is.
That was them. The fans basically saying Conte out. You see how he was all cryptic and like metaphoric with his language. And he's being deceitful, like, oh, what does he mean? Or maybe his English isn't really good when he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, bro.
Listen, it's all cryptic.
I think Conte needs a spin doctor. That's what he needs. He needs someone to just explain everything he's saying after he's saying it.
No. He's cryptic. We know exactly what he's doing.
He needs a spin doctor. What was it? Alistair Campbell, who's out the spin doctor used to be. That's who he needs.
But he's top 4. Like winning the Premier League for us. How disrespectful. Am I a dickhead? Am I a pussy? No, I'm having it. I'm rattled.
Listen, I can understand when you say it the way you have. When you say it like that, it's not a great look, and I totally get that. But there's no way you can think that Conte means that. No way. You can't.
The fans, because when it's fresh. Well, it's like he got the knife, he cut it open, and he just dashed a bag of salt in it.
Maybe. Listen, his timing was wrong. But do you remember the timing after the Burnley game when he come out and said what he said? He's got that in him. He's the character that we know what we got. Jose's the same. They're cut from the same cloth.
We needed that. But this was different. No one saw this one coming. Nobody saw it. I think that's what caught us off balance. Because if we saw it coming, it's different. But then like us fans were like, well, has he signed a contract? Is there a contract? If he came out and said, you know what, the board has to fire me. That's the only way they're going to get rid of me because I'm here for the fans. I'm here to the
but that's going against your owners now, man. You're openly declaring war, man. You're upset about that comment, but then you're saying openly declare war against the owners by saying the only way you're not getting rid of him is sacking me.
Well, but basically, that's what the fans kind of needed to hear. The fans
Hey,
kind of
he
needed
said he's
someone
willing to die for the club until the last game of the
Ash,
season, which
well,
for now.
I want to, yeah,
I
Ash,
don't know,
I want to know what you think. There's some people in the comments saying Conte's comments are a direct attack against the board when he says that. Do you agree with that, or do you feel like he's belittling the club when he says it?
When he said what? When he said say again?
When he said top four is like winning the Premier League, some fans in the comments are saying that's a direct attack against the board.
I agree with that.
No, it is, but I'm just saying it was the timing. That's all. It was just the timing. Like there's a time and place for everything, and I think he was. When I started to hear his other comments, and I'd calmed down, and I'd thought about it, and I sat on it, and then I heard other press conferences. Like when we after Nottingham Forest, I could say, all right, now I get it. Like he's on our side. He's not. He's
angry, man.
I get it. But I'm just saying, like, brother, there's a time and place for everything. That's all. But yeah, no, I agree.
Got hurt. Conte hurt Ash Matic.
Yeah, he was hurt, but you got to understand.
I just got hot. Is it just me that got hot? I don't know. I got hot on the
I'm guessing what he's trying to say. I'm assuming what he's trying to say is in his previous jobs, his aim has always been to win the Premier League. That's been the aim, and so when he hits that aim, that's what he's achieved it. So at Tottenham, his aim is to get top four. That's his aim. Like when we're at the beginning of the season, we all said, where are we going to finish in the league? We all said third, probably. I think that was what everyone said.
Second, even before the season.
I think most people said third. Most people said third at the beginning of the season, which is, by the way, achievable at this point. And he's saying that top four is like winning the Premier League. That's his aim. That's what he's trying to say.
I think that's why I think the Spurs fans, or someone like myself, we got I didn't get carried away, but obviously we got top four last season. And then because we achieved top four last season, and then we spent 150 million, whether it be the right players for the system, whether it was bats, whether it was club signings, we still kind of kicked on from last season. So the expectation was that we're bringing in a winning manager. He's won stuff wherever he's gone, and he's talking about winning, the winning mentality. He's kind of giving us that kind of almost like a hope, like would you call it the worm? You know, like, I'm getting bare analogies, but almost like
carrot.
Dangling a carrot.
Carrot, not a worm, sorry. Yeah, so like a carrot. So we were thinking, yeah, we're gonna finish top three, second. Man, I
was so gassed. I said second.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of fans
after Norwich, I was like, I was gone. Second. After Norwich, I was gone.
I think this is part of the reason why it was like a car crash coming out of all those cups, having that expectation, and then it just.
We ain't ready, Ash. Mentally, we're not ready. We're not ready to. We're not ready to take those steps. As a club, I'm saying, not Conte. Conte's come for that reason. But we as a club are not ready. The players that we have currently, we brought in winners like Perisic. We brought in winners, people that have achieved trophy elsewhere to bring that mentality into the club. It's going to take time, though, to achieve that, man. And unfortunately, time is something that it seems that the fans are not willing to budge. And I don't know, by chopping and changing, how we're going to achieve what we ultimately all want, be it that is with Conte or not, man. I'm saying give someone 4 years and say go.
This is what came down to, like, every fan started turning and saying, raw, like, if he's here for the long term, we're cool. But because the contract was up in the air, a lot of fans were making assumptions that he had been offered a contract. We don't know if he has been offered a contract, but a lot of fans were making that assumption that, like, why don't he want me? Why don't he want me?
Ash, in that press conference,
Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince. I know exactly.
In
that press conference, he also said that he's made it very clear to the club what it is that he wants and what it is that he's requested. And for that meeting at the end of the season, he's already communicated to the club, not to us, but to the club, what it is that he wants. So nobody's showing us their hands. It's not coming from you're saying the manager should say, I'm here to stay. Give me a 3-year contract. I'm ready to sign it. Putting the pressure on the club.
Guess what?
But the club is not doing this. The club is not showing their hands.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's why
that's where that energy that you're talking about amongst the fans is coming from. That it's the lack of clarity. No one's showing their hands, club or manager.
Yeah.
So we have
like
to
a game
wait.
of poker.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's making us angry, because how can we be going, like, when we're approaching April pretty much soon, and we none the wiser who's going to be here next season. It must be really like unsettling, not just for us fans, but players and
Yes.
everybody else. And
Yes.
whilst we're still trying to achieve
Yes.
top four,
Yes.
Iggy,
How
I
will
want
I
to
do
ask
that?
you. I want to ask you actually, Iggy, as an AC Milan fan, part AC Milan fan, mainly Spurs, as I was going to say. But on Wednesday night, Conte made some interesting comments about Tottenham being their ability to compete against teams like AC Milan. And he said, like, AC Milan have a rich history of winning trophies. They won Serie A last season, and the culture's different, but. Is it a fair thing to say when you look at how AC Milan have been performing this season? They're fifth in the league, and they've been struggling as well. So is it fair to say we can't compete against a team who's struggling in their own league right now?
I mean, they are the current champions.
Yeah, but they're struggling this season.
Milan are you're right. They're the current champions. Napoli are running away with it this year. There's no way, no one's catching them. But also, there's a tradition amongst the club. You got Maldini there as a director of football. Like it lives and breathes. Is that there's a team amongst them that are all winners. When you walk into that club, it's glory. Fikayo Tomori, when he joined the club, what was the first thing they showed him? The Casa Milan. It was like now. Milan went for 11 years without so much as winning the Scudetto. The last time was 2011. This is the first time in that time that they've reached the quarterfinals, so they hadn't gone past that stage. So there's been a lot of shit in between that. A lot of slaps in the face as well, getting mugged off by everyone. So, but they had to, when this new ownership came in 3-4 years ago, they set a very clear plan to the club. They said the time of being mucked about, being slapped in the faces by everyone, got beat by Atalanta in Christmas 2019, 5-0, unheard of, all right? They were on the floor. The new ownership came on board, and they said, this is our vision, this is our club, this is what we want. We want to return slowly. The Milan of old, they're winning Milan in the 80s and 90s. That's gone. We need to start something new, something fresh. It's a 3-5 year plan. They went down the route of a young team, hungry, ready to go, a pretty much not the most elite manager, but somebody that was on the rise and wanted to carry on together. So this is the 3 to 5 year plan. The aim is to first of all dominate in Italy. I know it's different to the Premiership because the Premiership you've got 7-8 teams that can fight for something. In Italy, it's far less. But first of all, let's slowly put the steps. If we can get close enough, we can try and win a Scudetto. They achieved that Scudetto last year. Now, this is still a very much work in progress. Milan are not going to win the Champions League every year, but they are going to try and do every step by step. This year, they're going to go for top 4 again, which is that'll be the 3rd year now they would have achieved Champions League football. So they're putting all steps, but everyone's on board, Sim, because the clarity, it was from the offset. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to achieve. We want to do this in this time. Between now and the next 3 years, Maldini said we'll try and win the Scudetto. Do you see what I mean? Everyone was on board.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying.
We don't do that.
I just wondered what you thought of Conte's comments when he's suggesting that because of Milan's kind of history of winning, like it's difficult for a team like Tottenham to compete with them over a 2-legged tie. Like I just thought it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with those comments.
Yeah, I didn't agree with it personally. I think I think Spurs could have definitely made more of a tie of it. I don't think Milan, they were good. They managed it very well here in England. They managed the game. And that's all they did, really. They didn't have to force it. They had a couple of situations they could have scored from him. But they managed the game, and they were waiting for Spurs. I know how they think. They were waiting for Spurs to come onto them and then see how the gaps open up behind. That never happened. So they ended up like literally cruising it towards the end. The culture, I think that my interpretation that is the culture of the club is already in place, and these players know fully well when they join a team like Milan is what is expected of them. Now, I don't know if something had happened. I don't think the comments were great. I must admit they weren't great, but I don't know. This year is a weird one for Conte, man. It's like so much has happened on a personal level to him as well. Like these things go to one side, and it's been weird from when he came to this year. Is like a whole situation, his own situation, health situation, 3 of his friends. It's been a strange year, man, and I think maybe there's been it has affected. There's no two ways about that. But I don't think, and I genuinely mean this, guys. I don't think he's ready to throw the towel. I don't think he's checked out, like a lot of people have suggested or said. I think he's someone that there's a part of him perhaps that maybe thought of going back to Italy, but there's a part of him that still badly wants to succeed at Spurs. I see that. I see it when he talks. Sometimes I sense it. I do. I get it, man. There's a part of him, Ben. You know, when you're a winner, man, you can't accept defeat. And him leaving Spurs without doing something with us, it's a defeat. And I refuse to believe that this is how he wants to leave. If he wants to leave, he has to do it in his terms. And this is not. I don't believe for 1 second he signed up to leave on these terms, man. I believe that.
For me, my criticism with Conte is
he's not perfect, man. He can be an idiot sometimes, an arrogant one as well.
Of course not. And this is what we have to realize as a fan base. People that say, you know, they want Conte to stay, that are Conte in, they're not saying that Conte hasn't got faults or he doesn't make bad decisions or bad in game tactics are awful. But for me, it's like sometimes we play poor, and at the end of the game, he's like, I think we played well. What?
Shit on these players, man. If you've already got a fragile environment around you, you can't go late in fast. If you're a true, did you see that? I remember Man United away. Okay, Man United away. Ben was with me as well, and there was a 2-3 minute spell. I watched Conte and Bentancur going at it, literally verbally assaulting each other. But when you're a champion, when you're a winner, you can dish it and you can give it. It ain't going to affect him because Bentancur, for me, has been one of our best players this year. And I think part of the biggest problems we've had has been his absence. I know it's one player, but it's a big player for us, man. And so with some players, you can have it out. Other players, man, if you do what he did to Bentancur against Man United, mate, if he did that to someone else, they would have crumbled. There's no two ways about that. So until we have a group of players where they can really thrash it out, manager and players, because that sometimes, man, the bear needs poking, the tiger needs poking, everyone needs poking every now and again just to get a reaction out of them. And on the pitch, you need that. And that night, we was awful. And so, I don't know, man. I just think it's a culture change. We need to go through that mentality change altogether, by all means. And we're not quite there yet, man. We're not quite there. I don't think we're ready yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
That week showed us that we're ready.
I mean, out of those two comments, the one that he made after the Milan game saying, you know, because of Milan's history, it's hard for us to compete. I mean, we beat Milan over 2 legs the last time they won the Scudetto in 2011. You know what I mean? Under Harry Redknapp.
I remember it.
I didn't really understand those comments because the Premier League and the Serie A are like miles apart, in my opinion, anyway. So I had a lot of problems with those comments. But when I heard the other comment that the top 4 is like winning the Premier League for Tottenham, I mean, I'm thinking about it. And I don't blame Conte for those comments. I blame Daniel Levy in the hierarchy for putting us in this situation, for them to be only expecting top 4 out of this football club and out of this great manager that we do have. And we were on a path of fighting for league titles under Pochettino, and we completely threw that away and didn't back the man and give him the painful rebuild that he wanted, and we've just been in no man's land since. So, of course, getting top 4 is our maximum achievement, and that's all he means by it, in my opinion.
I agree.
So that's where we're at with that. But let's move on. And we've already touched on it a bit in the stream. And we're going to go on, are the fans too impatient at the moment with Antonio Conte, with the dealings with the club? Let's start with you, Sim, on this one.
Yeah, so what was the exact quotes from Conte? He did say that he feels the patience from the club. He feels the patience to win something. Well. He's got patience, but he said the fans have run out of patience, and he said it's hurting the players. It's not causing good environment. Something to those something like that anyway. And for me, I don't like when he says it's hurting the players, because that's implying that because the Tottenham fans are impatient, it's causing the players to not play well, and it's kind of putting blame on the fans. But so I don't like those comments, to be honest, because I think that's a bit of a cop out. I don't think you can blame the fans for how players perform on the pitch, in my opinion. But what I would say is when he says about the fans' patience, and how it's completely finished. He said the fans' patience he feels is finished. He said. I mean, I don't know how anyone can argue that. It absolutely has finished. It's the fans' patience has completely worn thin because there's been 15 years without a trophy, one trophy in 22 years under ENIC, haven't won the FA Cup since 1991, so that's 32 years now. No league title in 60 years. Of course, for a club like Tottenham Hotspur, for our fans, when you're seeing City win trophies year after year, Arsenal are consistently winning trophies, even when they weren't competing for titles, they were winning trophies. Man United have just won a trophy after 5 years without one. Liverpool consistently winning trophies right now. So if you look at the top six, we're the only ones who don't consistently win trophies every few years at least. And so of course, once as well, when we've had so many missed opportunities and close calls, of course, and you've had two serial winners come to your club who just for love nor money can't get a trophy through the door. Obviously, your patience is going to wear thin. There's only a certain amount of patience you can have. How much patience should we have? And I don't think the fans should be to blame for the lack of patience. But the reality is, there is a lack of patience. And should that be directed towards a manager like Antonio Conte, who right now could very well lead us to back-to-back top four finishes, when he came into the club off the back of two very chaotic seasons where we finished outside the top four and we looked directionless, and Kane wanted out. He wanted nothing to do with the club at the time. We were all over the place, and he could very well get us back to getting consistent top four, which we were getting under Pochettino. And so in most other circumstances, that performance level should command a bit of patience from the fan base, should actually get the fan base on board and say, okay, look, we're getting consistent top four finishes now. That's something to build on. But we've run out of patience so much that we see the two top four finish and we're like, it's not good enough. We want trophies. We want to win now. If this manager ain't going to win now with us, let's change. If the football isn't exciting straight away, we need to get rid. Everyone forgets last season how good we played some really good football under Conte. I know this season it's been very difficult. We haven't a lot of games. The football's been dross, but people speak with two minds. Sometimes people say football's a results business, and when teams are playing good football and they're unlucky but they're not getting results, they say, well, it's a results business. If you're not getting results, and get him out. But if he is getting results and the football's not good enough, then people say, I just want to enjoy my football again. Is not winning football matches enjoyment? Like I personally enjoy watching Tottenham win on a weekend, in my opinion. But I feel like I just feel like the fans have completely lost their patience with Conte and with this club right now, because they're just waiting for the opportunity for glory. I don't think Conte helped himself with how he treated the FA Cup and the League Cup this season 100%. I don't think he helped himself with that, but that's not his remit. His remit was to come in and get Champions League football for the following season. That's what his job is, and by and large, he looks like he might well do his job. So I also think that Conte's, because he's such a serial winner and elite manager, we expect more from him maybe than we do from someone else. If it was someone else in the job, we'd probably be happy with top four and we'd probably be happy with how things are going. But because it's Conte and everything that surrounds him, and he doesn't stay for long, and he's a serial winner and he wins everywhere he goes, the fact that he's going to come here and not win anything again is obviously going to be even more frustrating. It's going to add another element to it. So I do think he's absolutely right when I don't think anyone could argue that the fans have lost patience. I don't see how anyone could argue that.
Look, I agree with you in what you're saying, but how can the fans possibly have patience when we don't know what's going to be happening next season? I mean, what are we being patient for? We don't even know if Conte is going to be here next year. So I think that Daniel Levy and Antonio Conte are both massive factors in this, why the fans have run out of patience so abruptly, because we don't know what is going to be happening next year, is the facts of the matter. If Conte had come out and said there was a contract on the table or no contract on the table, then we would know where to focus on. You know, we don't know whether to focus on Daniel Levy or to focus on Antonio Conte about the contract situation. If the contract was signed and we knew he was here for the next 3 years, I think the patience would be there from the fans. But I think it's running very thin because everything's just up in the air at the moment. There's no plan. There's no vision. I mean, what the hell is going on? Where are we going to be this time next year? Nobody could tell you, because nobody can tell you who our manager is going to be next year. That's my feeling on it. What do you think?
I want to ask Iggy just one quick question before he gives his answer on this topic. When he was at Inter Milan, Antonio Conte, if I remember rightly, is at the end of his he was there for 2 years. At the end of his first season, there was massive rumours about him leaving. And if am I right in saying that they were pretty much as certain as we are now that he was leaving at the end of that season, and he ended up staying?
There was a few discrepancies between him and the board, because obviously, as we now know, Inter got a lot of financial issues. That he joined Inter with the sole purpose of stopping the domination of Juventus, his old club, which he left pissed off. So he just wanted to go back there, say, "I'm going to stop your reign." He told Inter, "These are the 3 or 4 players I want. You give me those players, I'll bring you the title." He brought him the title. Guess what he wanted to do next year? He achieved a Europa Cup final as well, I believe.
But he won the title in his second season, right? In his first season, he got to Europa League
and then
final.
lost the Europa. Yeah, he lost. So already the things have been put in place. Now then, what happened as soon as he won the league title is that Inter turned around and said, we're in trouble. He's setting up now to put a challenge on the Champions League. And they're saying to him, "Sorry, mate, we need to sell Lukaku and we need to sell Hakimi." And he's like, "You what? I'm trying to win it. I'm trying to like," and what I'm trying to say is there was a lot of issues amongst them. Listen, he knows he's very demanding, man. He's demanding of his director.
You ask about the first.
No, I'm saying this for end of his first season, right, at Inter. I'm pretty sure I remember rightly that there was a lot of people saying he was pretty much certain to leave. And then he ended up staying at the end of the season.
No, listen, I'm not too sure what the reasons were for that. I think it was internal stuff, and it was different views, and you know, and whether they could deliver what he wanted to really mount a challenge for the league. In the end, they did it, but they got themselves in huge debts by doing that. Maybe that was what it was all about. But he did. What matters though, that once he said he was going to deliver something, he delivered it, man. And then the following year, he wanted to go for the Champions League. So,
all right,
perhaps those were the issues, financial ones.
All right, go on, Iggy. So, what do you think about his comments about saying the fans are too impatient? Do you agree with him?
The fans are impatient for the last 23 years. They're not impatient because of the last 15 months. Two different things. He's picking up the brunt of the impatience that's gone on for the 23 years leading up to this point. He's taken the brunt, partly for his comments too, don't get me wrong, but he is taking the brunt for what's happened during this time leading up to this point. He's taken the brunt for the shit we've been served. So the fans are being impatient during his time. I believe he's seeing that and he's thinking, are they impatient with me? Of what I'm trying to do something here, but I'm going to need time. If they've run out of patience, then I'm probably the wrong guy to be here to do this. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand how our owners keep getting away with it, man. Because at the end of the day, there's a lack of accountability. Every year, every season, there should be you got your AGMs, whatever it is you want to call them, and you've got to say, right, what we done right, what we done wrong, and whatever. Now, if there's a fans' unrest, and let's have it right, that's also been massively contributed to the fact that Arsenal are top of the league and doing bits. Let's have it right here. That's massively contributing in a fan's head, rightly so, because we was giving it to them when we knocked them out of the Champions League. For the Champions League spot. So for me, yes, there is unrest. I completely get why there is unrest, but I just think the whole thing is misdirected at the wrong person. We should be looking at elsewhere. And for some reason, we don't want to go there. So it's easy to go for the manager. 15, now possibly 16 next year. What kind of way to run a club is that when when the longest serving manager's been Pochettino during that time and no one else? And what happened to him? Instead of backing him, we fired him. Where was accountability for that? Where's the accountability the post 4 years that have happened post Pochettino? The rebuild that Pochettino told us about, that I've seen the videos resurfacing again of that. Then the lovely washing machine, the chair instead of a sofa. You know the ones I'm talking about. That's all resurfaced again. And how applicable is it today to when he said it 4 years ago? Why, man? Why? Well, this is what I'm saying. I think the fans are right to be upset. They're right to be impatient because look, we all feel like that. But I think we're misdirecting it at the wrong guy. He's here to do a job. I think we need to see this guy, give him a possibility because look, if we've waited this long, what's another couple of years going to be?
Yeah.
What's a couple of years going to do by giving this guy a chance to actually do something at this club?
I'll be bloody
Ultimately, we all want
36.
one
That's what it's
thing.
going to do.
I don't know, man. Look, everyone's gonna have their opinion on this, man. I just don't like.
Start
You know
growing.
what, Ben?
I'm gonna be as grey as you, Iggy, by the time we get a trophy.
Yeah, be happy that you'll be great because you end up with nothing. Then more
Don't worry, I'm gonna end up with that as well. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, but nowadays we can go to Turkey, a couple of grand and sort it all out, you know. But what I'm trying to say though, guys, one thing I am fed up with is the chopping and changing and restarting. I'm fed up with it. I just want to see a project and see it through. Allow the guy to be. Yeah, if you are impatient because you're fed up of seeing Spurs not winning a trophy, we're misdirecting our anger to the wrong people, man. And I just think this guy should be left to do his work, see it through. Definitely give us the clarification as to who and what's happening for next season, starting from now, because this can't go on. Honestly, it can't go on. And I hope that gets sorted out sooner rather than later. And I think if Conte does leave, we're going to find out what happened and what went down. Because he did it at Juventus when he left. He did it at Inter. And guess what? If he leaves here, he's going to let us know exactly what's what. The same way Jose did last season. So, but again, that's the worst case scenario still because we'd be starting all over again. And I'm tired of that, to be honest with you, man. Yeah,
it is frustrating. But Ash, like... How can we even have more patience in Conte if we don't even know what's going to be happening? Like, what are we being patient for?
This is the biggest question I think that fans have at the moment, and unfortunately, not all fans are as balanced as you guys, especially you, Iggy, where they have the foresight to see longevity and what has happened in the past and look at the patterns, trends, etc., etc. And I think a lot of fans live case by case and they live by the here and now. They don't look at history and what's happened before and can you see what's going to happen in the future, etc., etc. So when they have an expectation of Conte and what he brings, and then when they see what Arsenal did, because a lot of people are looking at what Arsenal did, they said, oh, Arsenal suffered for 2 years. They had a project manager. And now look what they are. Look what they are. It's that shiny object syndrome. Is that the right terminology? I don't know. But yeah, that's basically Spurs.
We'll go with it, Ash. We'll go with it.
I want that toy. I want that troll with the long hair, basically. So that's reason why I think a lot of Spurs fans are losing it. And then also it doesn't help that because of the style of football, we've mentioned this already, the style of football is not aesthetically pleasing. And then across the road, they're playing dynamite football. Like they're playing electric. Do you know what I mean? And it's hard to say it as a rival fan. Do you understand that the opposition, the ops?
Yeah, but Ash, if it were up to the fans though, they wouldn't have seen what's happening today because they called Arteta out how many times? And if the board had listened to the fans, he would have been out, and this would never have happened. You've got to go for a few slaps, a few 7th and 8th places to get to the goal.
Iggy,
I know, man, but social media, it's I know.
Fan, you're a patient fan. You're not the one that they're talking about.
I know, but it's social media, society, everything. Tomorrow's too late. Everything's now.
You remember that there's not a lot of leaders in the village. There's a lot of sheep in the village. So when things go bad, the sheep, they'll be following. They're following. You understand? So they start looking, why is our football turgid? Oh, it's because we play a back five. Why won't Conte go to a back four? If we went to a back four, we would win games and we would look more stylistic. Do you understand that kind of
I
basic
hear you.
thought process? Because they can't see it there and now, they're like impatient. And then guess what? It's like having a bad ex. Yeah, we've got baggage, tons of it. You get it? And that's what we're carrying.
You know what? That's the best analogy you've come up with all day. Believe me when I say that. That makes perfect sense, understandable, and relatable as well.
I hurt, bro. It's like we're not ready for the
Nash, we're not just hurt, we're insecure as well.
Very insecure.
It's so true, you know that.
When you see a bombshell walk in front of you, like Conte, and she's got the legs, she's got the eyes, she's got the smile, the charisma's there, you know what I mean?
Got
You fall in
temper.
love. Like, yeah, you fall in love. You fall in love. But guess what? As soon as like next men are looking at her or something goes wrong, she says something you don't like, you're already
Yeah,
to
ready.
her. You're like, bro, get out of here, man. I want a new tick. I want another guy. So basically, that is Spurs fans. And the funny thing is, with Spurs fans, we're not very self-aware. So we don't even know. Like, you could be a top dickhead, but because you're not aware of how you're presenting yourself, how you're speaking, how your thoughts are carrying on, you don't realize that you're a dickhead yourself. And guess what? You're going to be a dickhead to another fan, and to another fan, and to another fan. And that's the reason why all this impatience, all this toxicity happens. And this is my one wish, that I hope that we didn't become Arsenal fan TV, like as a club, as a fan base. Do you understand?
Banter, yeah.
They were super toxic. They were, and that's what I'm seeing for us. We're becoming super toxic, but with good reason. And it's because the teams around us. Remember, Man City were Pierce when I was growing up. Who was Man City? Yeah, brothers like Stuart Pearce. Come on, man. Deep man Haman. Are you all right?
Man City, Chelsea. When I was a kid, they were Division 4. So, yeah.
Chelsea weren't pissed.
But these teams will come back, though. City, the Chelsea, Liverpool, they'll all come back.
But you know what I'm saying? They've just come out of nowhere and they just started operating. Because if they
Sugar
weren't
daddies.
there, we would have been second or third long time. We would have probably won a Premiership, or we would have won cups. Them men have been dominating the cups, like, because of the sugar daddy syndrome. You know what I'm saying? They've cheated their way to the top. And I think that's why Levy was pissed and he aimed at Pep and was like, listen, I'm taking you down, bro, because you've been taking the piss lately. You might have been coming with your Russian money, your Arab money. I ain't got that money. And he's just jealous. Do you understand? But that's another topic. But the point remains, like, we as a fan base, we just don't realize that the common denominator is Levy. And I'm saying, like, I'm Levy out, but I say Levy out. I say it nicely. Some men are saying it horribly, and I think that's the reason why there's a massive problem with Levy out. It's, you know what to say, Levy out. As soon as the game loses, it's Levy out. But when we win, it's Conte. It's Conte. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it was Pochettino. The same fans were singing Pochettino out, and now singing him to bring him back. So where's the logic? You know, what is it, man? I don't understand it.
But the reason why is various factors, variables. There's so many variables that go into it, and you have to consider all of those variables to understand the current climate that we're in right now. Do you understand? It's not just one thing. It's not just two things. It's so complex that it hits you from all angles. We don't even know where to look. Like, do you know what I'm saying? We're not like Muhammad Ali, dodging those punches, weaving, because this is coming at us so fast. What can you do? And that's what I think.
But is the impatience hurting the whole situation? Is it causing problems with managers?
No two ways.
Of course it would. Of course it would. Like, of course it would. Of course
It's
it would.
It's becoming a poison chalice. You remember the England job, right? That we have become the international. That with our club has become that. Who would, like, guys? Honestly, let's have it right. Let's take our Tottenham hats off for a second. Who with the right mind will say, yeah, Tottenham Hotspur, that's the club I want to manage? You know,
Pochettino.
It's not right, man. It's like,
but our last two managers have been Conte and Jose. You know, the two of the biggest managers there are.
And look what we're doing to them, or look what we've done to one of them. We've had to go and get him to go and win a trophy somewhere else to say, ha ha, look at you now. You're the only ones. You're the only ones that, you know, what does it, whenever he's spoken about to Tottenham, what does he always say? Yeah, it takes a special kind of guy, and Daniel Levy's a special kind of guy. Jose was bantering us. So what I'm trying to say is that you got to look at the players that you can attract and say, right, what am I going to do at Tottenham? Am I going there because I see, listen, no one could say the stadium and the infrastructure and the training ground, amazing, man. No one could say anything about that. But you look at it thinking, okay, is this a club that's going to ultimately give me what I want? They'll give me window, it will give me the Premier League. Am I going to be challenging for honours, or am I going to use this as a stepping stone to then move to the Man Uniteds or the Man Cities and so forth? I ain't going to mention the other club, but you know what I'm saying. So that's what we've got to look at. We've got to need to work out very quickly what kind of club that we want to be moving forwards.
Icky. We was Arsenal. We are the original. We did it with Poch. We created the young boy team. We had the youngest team.
And they saw that. They've done it to the T.
And they literally copied our whole DNA.
Yes, to a T, man. To a T.
They use it against man.
And learn from our mistakes as well.
Bang on, Ben. Bang on. They've realised where the project failed, and they're thinking that's where they failed. We need to do exactly the same. Get it to this point, and from this point, where Tottenham went this way, we're going to go that way.
We're going to give it
some
rocket
into that system.
We're going to give you players that won the Premier League in Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, you know, players that are going to take you to the next level. What did we do? We bring in Clinton and G's and George Kevin and Kudus, you know what I mean?
Or no one.
Or no one, you know what I mean?
2 seasons. Sorry,
what did Levy say in that time? He said, not one player can improve this team. We're way too good. Nobody can improve it.
And we're like, yeah, we can see all the trophies. Look, we ain't got no more room to put them in. Guys, it's evident. That's why we're impatient. Yeah, but it's evident where the problem is. Our impatience is directed at the wrong people, is what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. No one's saying that they have no rights to be impatient. Of course they do. I just think that it's not directed at the right people. And those guys keep getting away with it year after year after year. Guess what? Conte loses out and he goes, who's won? Who's won?
Remember,
not us.
Hey, listen, Levy. I reckon Levy's got some of the top scientists of like how humans react, like the top PR people. So when things are starting to go bad, he knows how to deflect quickly. Let me use Paratici.
He's the Muhammad Ali of the CEOs. He's the Muhammad Ali that you're talking about.
Huh? Say again?
He's the Muhammad Ali that you're talking about.
Yeah, he is, literally. So he's a mastermind on knowing how to dodge bullets.
But can I say something else? At Nottingham Forest on Saturday, given the week that we just had, man, it was full house. As he sees the seats, they're all full. And that's
guys,
it.
There's some breaking news. There's some breaking news. You did want the club to act. They have just made a statement. The club can today announce that first team coach Rehan Skinner has been relieved of her duties. Spurs have sacked the manager. Don't worry, it's the women's team.
It's the women's team. I was going to say.
I'm waiting for you to catch up, guys.
I'm waiting for the punchline. I've gone past that bit, and I was just waiting for Antonio Conte's name to come out.
Don't worry. Everyone just calm down. Spurs will sack the first team coach for the women's team.
Ooh, is that the first stepping stone to the...
He's acted. Come on.
Heard you guys. He heard what you guys were saying, and he has acted. Patience has worn thin.
Thanks,
do you know what, guys?
Thanks for giving us that bombshell, Sim.
Yeah. Do you know what, guys? If we don't every now and again, if we don't have a laugh and joke about these things, it would
I'm just giving the whole chat a heart attack.
Yeah, I think the whole chat is saying Sim out.
Unnecessary. So the fact that when you're giving them a heart attack should tell them how they really feel about them. So you could have been testing them. Now you know. If you've got to send me, Antonio. Listen, now you know how you really feel with that bombshell that's him. If you've got a little heart attack, that tells a lot, guys. That says a lot. Because I've definitely had one. I'm pretty sure I had one.
At the end of the day, I get why the fans have run out of patience, but let's be honest, Antonio Conte, the way it's going at the moment doesn't do himself any favors, and maybe asking for patience but not knowing if he's going to be here next year. That's a massive factor in it right now. It really is. But look, let's move on to the last topic of the day. and it's about our summer signings. Has Fraser Forster been the most successful summer signing from the summer window? Let me just recap with you who we signed this summer. Richarlison, 60 million. Bissouma, 25 million. Jed Spence, 15, 20 million. Ivan Perisic on a free. Clement Longley on a loan. And Fraser Forster on a free transfer. We'll start with you, Iggy. Has he been our most successful summer signing?
In fact, I can't tell. Just says a lot about our summer signings, I think. Huh? Oh, it's all right. Oh, are we down?
No. Yeah, listen, Forster. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Forster for sure. Given it.
One sec, guys. Can you still see us in the chat? Oh, something.
Yes, I can see you, mate.
I can see you. Wow, mad foggy.
I think we're all right. We can. Can
listen,
you hear us?
Yeah, perfectly.
All right, cool.
For me, look, sadly, I have to say Forster, and I want to be saying so many other more players, but of the recent performances, and even one, I was really impressed with him at Nottingham Forest. Goal aside, I thought as well. So, Richarlison, Bissouma, how can Bissouma just started off from that South Korea, where he picked up that long COVID, it just seemed to not quite take off. And now we find out that injury has actually been with him longer than we first thought. Richarlison's been stop-start with his injuries. Longley, up and down. We've got the Longley of Barcelona, sadly, and not the one from Sevilla. Perisic started off okay, but showing his limits as well now. And I don't know. Polo's shown good signs, and he looks like he's going to be a player. But yeah, Forster has to say overall since the summer, he's been the only one that you can say is worthy of the number 2 shirt or the number the sub goalie shirt. The others haven't quite made their own.
Yeah, I just have to be an echo. To be fair, Forster, I had my reservations about him, but what he's proved me wrong is that he's actually good with his feet. He can play out from the back, and that's a massive way how we play, how we set up. Looks very comfortable on either foot, left foot, right foot. Kamani's quite tall, a bit of a big lad. He's able to stop that. And I was a bit nervous with Lloris when it came to corners or crosses. He was a bit short, and I just feel like Forster's a bit of safe hands. Albeit that certain games I feel like he could have done better, like for example against Wolves when he's parried it out back to Dharma scored, and Sheffield United when he got beat by his near post, I feel like he could have done better. But overall I think like he's held down that number 2 slot, as Iggy was saying, and I feel like the other players have been a lot more inconsistent since they've been coming in. Like Perisic had a good start, but ever since we've changed to 2 a week, I think his legs can't manage it. I think his age is starting to show a bit. And positionally, he's just not a wing back. He's all right, but in the 2, he's been offense, obviously, to be scoring goals, albeit people saying he's been played out of position, left, right, and centre. Left or the right. He hasn't really played it in the number 9 role where Kane is. But saying that, on Saturday, he looked really, really sharp, and he showed us what we can do in front of goal. He looked really, really good in front of goal. And his link-up play, for me as well, is really good. I really like his link-up play. That's not being talked about. Everyone's talking about how defensive he is and how physical and how he tires out the players and the defenders. But I just think he linked up well with Son yesterday. I just think he's the best signing for us.
Sim?
He's the only one that's currently doing the job required.
Literally.
Good second keeper. That's what we brought him in to do, and he's been a decent second keeper. What can I say? Richarlison hasn't been he hasn't. Bissouma has been very indifferent, and then he's been ruled out for the rest of the season, so he hasn't been it. Spence has been put on loan after 6 months. Udoji's out on loan. Maybe Udoji's our best summer signing. I guess
probably
probably Udoji, I'd have to say. He's been great. Not for us, unfortunately, but he has been good. I mean, it's by default. What can I say? Forster, I guess you have to give it to Forster, which is incredible. A free transfer of a 34-year-old keeper who was in a bottom half Premier League team last season, and now he's our best summer signing from last season, which is crazy to think about. But I guess he has to be. I think I'm praying when you ask me this question at the end of the season, I have a different answer. But at the moment, it is Forster.
Well, look, let me ask you this, guys. If Lloris is back after the international break, this is just an assumption. If Lloris is back after the international break, Forster has a good game against Southampton. Are you sticking with Forster, or are you bringing Lloris back into the team? We'll start with you, Iggy.
Do you know what? I was having a chat with someone on Nottingham Forest on goalkeeper, and that is my club captain too. If he's good to go, you got to give him his place back, man. It's as simple as that. You got to see how he comes back, how he starts to look in the training during that break, and if he's good and ready to go, goalkeepers cannot be treated like outfield players. You have a clear, defined, order there. You have your first goalkeeper and you have your sub goalie. And for me, box and corners, then say Lloris is. So I've already got a clearer vision of what I want as a goalkeeper for next year after seeing Forster. But in regards to Lloris, no, he doesn't deserve probably his place back in the side. But listen.
Yeah, I'll echo that, man. To me, it's logical sense. It just makes sense. Normally, you go for who's in form. But you just have to, when it comes to goalkeepers and as club captain, you have to go back to default. Even though he's been poor, I think the time amends.
Yeah.
And he is a world-class goalkeeper, and he has been for many years. I know he's been dropping off maybe the last 2 seasons, but you can. I remember against Fulham, I think it was when it comes to shots
Get down low to his right and his left.
Sometimes I'm Forster. Do you know what I mean? Lloris,
that is contract running down.
I also want him to.